These new Xboxes came out of nowhere. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to talk about these unexpected new Xbox consoles, whether or not Xbox is missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and then we'll wrap up the video talking about the bizarre circumstances surrounding one of Game Pass's most exciting additions this year. Now, if you've been watching the channel, if you've been keeping up with anything that Xbox has been doing over the past 6 months to a year, you know the shtick by now. It's not just about the Xbox consoles. No, they're much more than just purveyors of the Series X and S. No, they also got cloud gaming. They also got Xboxes made by people who are not even Microsoft. PCs count as Xboxes too. All sorts of things can be qualified as an Xbox right now, but you've heard me say that many times, and I'm gonna say it again today because Microsoft just added more members to the Xbox family. And not a lot of people are talking about it because, well, this is coming from the PC side of things, and I know that my audience is mostly console dudes, much like myself, but in case you missed it, here's what I'm talking about. According to this post on Windows blogs, the Xbox PC app experience is expanding to include ARM-based Windows 11 PCs. Starting August 13th, they're beginning to roll out an update for ARM-based Windows 11 PCs, which introduces changes and improvements to the Xbox PC app experience. Now on Windows ARM-powered devices, if you go to the Xbox app, you'll be able to download games and play them natively. Well, not everyone, because they're just testing it out right now. You gotta be a Windows insider and an Xbox insider. This includes games in the Xbox Game Pass library, whether it's PC or your Ultimate membership. Not every game is gonna be supported though, so don't be surprised if you run into a couple of blips. They say Windows and Xbox are working closely together to ensure compatibility across the catalog, and we're developing new features that will enable more games to be played on ARM-based Windows 11 PCs in the couple months. Now, for my console guys who are watching this, I'm gonna attempt the most kind of bare bones, straightforward, basic layman's explanation for what I am talking about. ARM chips are processors that have an emphasis on efficiency, specifically power consumption. This makes them ideal for use in mobile devices like your phone or tablet, gaming handhelds, and these sleeker laptops that we see coming out, like the Surface Pro, like a MacBook. That efficiency comes at a price though. There's a little bit of a trade-off because they're not as powerful as a processor that you would find in a traditional desktop. There's also quite a few apps and software that are not compatible with Windows on ARM, which means that you would have to emulate them. Most Windows on ARM devices, I mean, they probably could, but they don't have dedicated graphics cards. So as you can imagine, gaming on something like the Surface Pro, not gonna be the best time ever. Now, a few years back, this would have been impossible. You would have been laughed out the room for suggesting something like this. But these ARM processors, they're kind of getting it together, like with these latest Snapdragon Qualcomm series. And while this is kind of a more low-key move, I know a lot of people aren't gonna be caring about this, here's why I think it's exciting. Now, the qualification that Microsoft has kind of set forth in its marketing when it comes to what is an Xbox and what is not is whether or not it can access Xbox games. And usually when they come out and say, oh, we got a new Xbox for y'all, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they are referring to this thing can access cloud gaming. Just thinking back on some of the more major marketing campaigns that they've done. Oh, this LG TV is an Xbox because you can access Xbox cloud gaming. Oh, this MetaQuest headset is an Xbox. That was also a play for cloud gaming as well. The exception to that would be the Xbox Ally that Asus is working on. It's nice to see that Microsoft is following through on this goal that they've set for themselves. Oh, yeah, we're trying to get our games in front of as many people as possible. We're trying to bring the games to you, not the other way around. And the fact that this is a solution where we can potentially play games natively on a new family of devices, that's cool. I cannot imagine that it's going to be very good, especially at first, but I think this is a great way to bring those games to other devices without having to put up with some of the restrictions that you run into with cloud gaming. If they can pull it off, we'll see how it goes with the testing. I doubt like the newest games are going to be supported, but if I picked up a Surface laptop or even a Surface Pro and I was able to play like Halo Master Chief Collection on it natively, that would be awesome. This is also another instance of Microsoft blending their experience with Windows and gaming in a way that other platform holders simply cannot. Sony, PlayStation especially, they just don't have the resources or the interest to make their games work on something like a Surface Pro. It remains to be seen whether or not any of this work is going to be applicable to Xbox when it comes to making their own handheld device. While an ARM-based device would probably be helpful in especially preserving the battery life of any potential handheld, I have a feeling that Xbox will make a handheld that's more or less like what we're seeing with Asus with the Xbox Ally. But maybe they'll have a cheaper option powered by Windows on ARM, who knows? This also throws in another interesting wrinkle to the whole Microsoft versus Valve gaming arms race, because almost a year ago, we started getting these reports saying that Valve was testing ARM64 support in Proton. I don't know if this has anything to do with Microsoft's recent decision to start testing this stuff, but it's an interesting wrinkle in the ongoing story. I'm all for this. Like I said earlier, more places to play Xbox games natively, that's a win. And it further prepares Xbox for the trials and tribulations to come. We got some more insight on this entire situation thanks to a recent episode of the Xbox Official podcast featuring Jason Ronald and Jason Beaumont. When it comes to the future of Xbox, whether it's console, PC, or cloud, JB says it's the hardest I've ever seen the team working. There's just so much going on. On the console, a lot of what we're working on is under the hood. When we release something that's for PC or for cloud gaming or for mobile, we want that feature to go everywhere. So that's a lot of the investments we're making. Jason mentioned the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. We've been working gangbusters to get that released in time for this holiday. That's really awesome to hear because as a fan, as someone who's kind of bought into this multiple devices ecosystem Xbox thing, that's what I want to see. A feature that's available on my console, also being available on PC or cloud or my Ally, wherever I play my Xbox games. I know it's probably going to take a while, but I would like that to eventually manifest in a universal Xbox experience. Whether I'm booting up an Xbox console, PC, whether I'm pulling up Xbox Cloud Gaming on my phone, I want it to look the same across all of those devices. Some sort of universal dashboard, whether that's going to be the Xbox full screen experience or something else, I just want it to be consistent. And while I was just talking about, yeah, I would prefer to play my games natively versus stream them through the cloud, I'm still interested in cloud gaming, especially if they can spruce it up, elevate it so it's on par with the other places where you can play Xbox games. And JB says you're going to see us continue to invest in this area. This includes adding new cloud servers to meet the growing demand. We're also exploring new innovative ways to reach more players wherever they are. Our goal is really simple. We want to bring games to more people. Cloud is great at that. Cloud gaming, cool idea, but Xbox has a lot of work they need to do. They got to bring the bit rate up. They got to bring the resolution up. They got to make it a more consistent experience. When I'm using cloud gaming at home, I have a great internet connection, so it's relatively smooth. But I tried to use it at my buddy's house the other day and it was absolutely dog ass. And that's not something that you want associated with your brand. You go hard with Xbox Cloud Gaming. Oh yeah, play your games wherever on your phone, blah, 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 blah. And then someone boots it up and it's terrible. That'll turn them off for your brand for the rest of their lives. They also mentioned that they're seeing a lot of players use Game Pass Ultimate to access the cloud. They don't know if that's the primary way that they play their games or if it's just like an extra bonus thing that people use as part of their subscription. But he does mention that he thinks for us, it opens up the opportunity to make it more affordable and make it more accessible to more players. I can only assume that they're finally thinking of a cloud gaming only tier, not locking it behind their most expensive version of Game Pass. Because yeah, that defeats the whole purpose of cloud gaming. Yeah, you can play games on the cheap, no console required, but you need our most expensive subscription ever. They mentioned Play Anywhere, which is very encouraging. That's one of the strongest things about Xbox right now. Buy this game, get 2 copies of it. That's something that no one else in this business can do. I thought it was really cool how they added in a filter to where you can see every game that's supported by Play Anywhere. If I was designing the UI, if I was in marketing, I would say something like buy this game, get 1, 2, like 2 for 1 special. The problem is that they got to get other people on board with this, especially the third-party people. But that's going to be a tough pitch because it's like, why would I give away 2 copies of my game for free? Y'all can do that with your games, Xbox, but for us, we're chilling. And for us console bros, they did throw us a bone. They talked about the next-gen Xboxes that are going to be powered by this crazy new silicon fancy AMD chip. And they specifically mentioned that it's going to revolve around unifying storefronts across multiple platforms on a single device. They can't say that Steam's going to be on the next Xbox just yet, but I mean, all signs are pointing in that direction. I mean, we already have Steam integration on the Xbox PC app. How hard can it be to bring that over to the next gen Xboxes? Especially if they're going to be more like like PCs. Separately, Xbox hardware architect Carl Ledbetter has basically suggested that Xbox is winding down the age of the Series X and S. He said, as we wrap up this journey with the Series X and S, the mission behind these consoles echoes everything I've learned over 30 years to create technology that's powerful, purposeful, and beautifully integrated into people's lives. Xbox is about fun and playing games. He goes on to talk about the design and says, even after years, decades working on different hardware for Microsoft, he's excited and inspired by what is ahead of us. Going back to Jason Ronald and Jason Beaumont, they had some interesting comments to say about Game Pass and how much money first and third-party games were making on the Xbox platform. They went out of their way to say that they saw double-digit growth in both first-party and third-party transactions, despite the fact that Game Pass is making record amounts of revenue. Why do I mention Game Pass? Well, because it's widely believed that Game Pass is destroying, absolutely demolishing sales on the Xbox platform. Is Game Pass affecting them? Sure, absolutely. But as we're seeing, Xbox fans are still willing to buy games. That's why they're seeing this growth. This comes right on the heels of comments that Sean Layden made, basically saying that Game Pass is the devil. Okay, he didn't say that it was a devil, but he said it was bad for business and turns developers into wage slaves. Now, y'all know me, y'all know I like Game Pass. I've been a long time subscriber, but if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm open to criticism about Game Pass, discussion about Game Pass. And when a developer comes out and they're like, here's what I think about Game Pass, here's my experience with it as a studio head, publisher, whatever, those guys I'm willing to listen to. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's see what they have to say. But like a top level executive that worked for Tencent, I don't know. He's like, I'm not a really big supporter of like this Netflix gaming idea. It reminds me of, you know, what Spotify did to popular music. Just think about these poor pop stars having to survive on pennies with their the plays that they get on Spotify versus what they would earn from traditional record sales. Think about that, guys. And what these executives have to learn is that they never mention the consumer. They never, they're never like, yes, I get that, you know, Game Pass is an attractive deal to like the average person. And that is the problem. He says, is Game Pass profitable? Is Game Pass not profitable? What does that mean? That's really not the question to ask right away. No, that is not the question that people are asking. Xbox fans are looking at Game Pass, are like, damn, that's a really great deal. I'm gonna try it out. That's the end of the story. That is it. If you want to subscribe to it, play your games predominantly that way, cool. If you want to buy it and have a subscription active, cool. If you say, F Game Pass, I just want to buy my games the old school way, also cool. As much as people want to say that Game Pass is the boogeyman, it's not so dominant that it's affecting the type of change that Netflix and Spotify did in their respective industries. And other people have tried to do subscription services as well, not just Xbox, Ubisoft, EA, PlayStation, and yet the wheel keeps turning. I don't know if Game Pass is going to last forever. I just know that I think it's a great deal for now, and when it stops being a great deal, I'll stop subscribing to it. And if developers see absolutely no value in it, they can stop working with Game Pass, yet some people keep coming back. And if you're an Xbox game studio, sure, your game is going to be put on the service day one, but that doesn't mean that it can't be successful, as we've seen over the past 6-7 months. 5 years into this generation, and console sales are starting to slow down, especially for Microsoft. But there's this belief that once Grand Theft Auto 6 finally comes out, there's going to be like this gold rush of people rushing to the store to buy a console specifically to play this game, which entirely reasonable. Grand Theft Auto 6, a lot of people waiting on that game, a lot of hype around that game, I get it. And with more and more developers leaving last generation behind, the Xbox One and the PS4, people are saying that it's a perfect storm for that exact situation to happen. However, Xbox is not wholly prepared to take advantage of that because of all of this other stuff that they've been doing. Multi-platform releases, emphasis on PC and cloud gaming. It's weird because we know Xbox is kind of pivoting towards a more PC-like ecosystem, with the next Xbox consoles rumored to straight up be pre-built PCs. And the irony is that Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to be out on PC when it launches. Let's be real. If someone's going to go out and buy a console specifically for Grand Theft Auto 6, it's probably going to be a PlayStation 5. There's a chance that if someone wants a really cheap option, they'd pick up a Series S. It seems that Microsoft is willing to just let this Grand Theft Auto craziness come and go. They're not interested in making sure shelves are stocked with their consoles. They've also proven that they could make the most amount of money in their brand's history while also selling the least amount of consoles. If you bought any console though, is it really worth it? Like, you're buying it for Grand Theft Auto 6, and then these new generation consoles are gonna come out maybe as soon as like 2027 if you're on the Xbox side. And if these new Xboxes come out and they're PCs anyway, what's the point of investing in the last Xbox console, a true Xbox console? The question right now for Xbox is, how can they get as many people to buy Grand Theft Auto 6 through the Microsoft Store? And right now, the only option, because Grand Theft Auto 6 gonna be console only, would be if they bought a Series S or X. And to wrap up the video, I just wanted to talk about a game that previously I was very excited for, and now just seems like, it just seems so weird. Like, the turnaround has been crazy. I'm talking about Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I was so excited for this game to come out. I was so excited for it to be added day one to Game Pass. The team at 505 Games was super cool to me, letting me drop in and play this during Days of Play back during Summer Games Fest. Kind enough to give me a review code. I liked what I had played. I didn't get to finish it. I've gotten frustrated as the weeks have gone on though, because the further I've gotten the game, the worse the performance has been, especially in the textures and the resolution. Even on performance mode, I'm experiencing a lot of dips in the FPS. So I should be happy, right? Because they just dropped a patch for this to address some of the performance issues and introduce some quality of life things. But with this most recent update, with this most recent patch, the story of this game has just taken another bizarre turn. First of all, they made some adjustments to the animation that happens when you get knocked down and you stand back up. If you get knocked down, you're not going to be locked into this endless cycle of trying to stand back up, can't dodge, can't block, can't do anything, and just get wrecked. So that's nice. They sped up Wu Chang's healing animation, like whenever you're drinking a potion, and they're adding the groundwork to, you know, do some small quality of life improvements, like respawning at the entrance of the boss gate instead of all the way back at whatever random shrine that you're trying to trudge back and forth from. No fixes to the stuttering just yet, but again, they're trying to optimize the code in preparation for that. I'll also throw in that I would really like to not be kicked out of the menu anytime I use any item, like when I'm trying to batch use all my Red Mercury stuff. But hidden in this update is also censorship of the game. No longer will you be able to kill certain historical figures like bosses or like some of the innocent farmers that are just hanging out. Instead, they'll either like run away tired or just be like, haha, see ya, and then dip out, which is just absolutely bizarre. I mean, I don't think it's entirely surprising, but it is bizarre. I've never seen an update like this where it just takes out, like, it alters the story in this way. Like, instead of killing the bad guy, they'll just collapse and be like, I don't want to fight you anymore. In a game where the whole premise is that you're surrounded by death and decay, you're trying to stave off death and madness as a character. Like, can you imagine in a game like Elden Ring, where you're building up to this big cinematic boss fight, they're doing everything in their power to kill you, to crush you, and then you finally beat them and they're like, sorry, yeah, I was just trying to test you, or yeah, no, it just wouldn't work. Like, imagine Malekith becoming non-hostile after the boss fight. That would destroy the whole story. I have yet to jump back into the game after these changes. You can see behind me, I've been playing Cyberpunk again, and it's a shame because my excitement for this game was like up here, and now it is falling. Just steady decline as the weeks go on. But as a reminder, it is on the cheaper side if you wanted to try it out for yourself, and it's on Game Pass. So if you try it out, it's not for you, you don't like it, you can move on with your life. That is the beauty of being an Xbox fan and a Game Pass subscriber. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.